Welcome to this Artlantis Studio 6 presentation. Artlantis 6 is a rendering application used by architects, designers, and other professionals all over the world. First, please download the application from www.artlantis.com. On this site, you'll find the Mac and Windows demo versions separately for Artlantis Studio and Artlantis Render, the two main solutions of the Artlantis product line. Artlantis Studio gives you access to all functionalities of Artlantis, while Artlantis Render is limited to producing still images only. Download the Studio version to explore the animation and iVisit 3D functions as well. After installation, we can launch Artlantis on our computer. Right at the startup screen, we can access important features and information about Artlantis in general. Under the Artlantis Studio menu, or the diamond icon, we'll find the License Manager where we can activate our license with a serial number. We'll also find the preferences with different tabs. One is about general settings. The second one is about the path and output format of the final render. You can activate the autosave function under the tab with the same name and change language in the one called Interface. You'll also find the Open or the Open Recent function to access the Artlantis online help that can be opened in an internet browser. Up here in the left-hand corner, there is an RSS link with Artlantis news about the recent updates or the latest plugins, or the newly added media to the media store. This RSS link will alert you about the new features of the entire Artlantis world. In the opposite corner, there is a link to the Artlantis gallery. Here, you can view renderings created by our users with different versions of Artlantis. You can preview them right here in this little window, and if you want to enlarge one, just click on the image. It will open in the browser window. If you click on the link below the preview, you can access the Artlantis gallery at artlantis.com and continue your visit there. These are the two different ways to view renderings created by the community of Artlantis users. In the center of the screen, there are thumbnails of the recent projects. Instead of opening the main menu, you can choose from here by simply picking up one of the files and continue into Artlantis. As soon as the file is open, we can continue to review the interface. In the upper part of the window, you will find the so-called inspectors. On Windows, the first main menu will be the diamond, grouping the preferences, the license manager, the online help, as well as the open or save functions. The next commands will open the different inspectors, like the shader inspector where we can manage materials, the object inspector, the light inspector for artificial lights, the Heliodon inspector, and the perspective inspector for the camera settings in Artlantis. At the right side, you'll find icons giving you access to multiple tasks. The cart icon will take you to the media store accessible from inside of Artlantis. The next icon opens the 2D window, then follow that for the postcards. The camera icon allows you to launch the rendering calculation, and the next is to create a crop rendering from a selection done directly in the preview. The icon opens the list of renderings sent for later computing to the batch renderer. This independent application is able to calculate renderings without opening Artlantis. Each inspector contains particular settings which are highlighted in the appropriate dialog. Whenever we change an inspector, a small animated effect announces the opening of the dialog with its settings. At the right side of the screen, we can open the drawer of an inspector. This drawer contains all elements specific to that particular inspector and already present in the scene. In case of the perspective inspector, the drawer will list the cameras through small thumbnails. In the drawer of the Heliodon inspector, we'll find the available suns. The list of artificial lights can be found in the drawer belonging to the light inspector. Objects added to the project will be listed in the drawer next to the object inspector, and they will be filtered by layers if there are any. Finally, all shaders and textures of the scene will appear in the drawer of the shader inspector. The main feature of Artlantis is the real-time preview window, of course. It automatically refreshes after changes, and its quality is consistent with the final rendering. Settings for the real-time preview can be found above, in this gray stripe, and below the window. Let's review them by starting with those placed above the preview. This list is about layers grouping objects. The next list is that of all camera views, and we can switch views by choosing another item from this list. The next three icons manage the size of the window itself. Shrink it, enlarge it, or make it fit into the available area. With the Refine Preview function, you can make the preview refresh more accurately. In the next list, you can set the display mode of the preview. The laser belongs to a specific function. We'll talk about that later on. Below here, you'll find settings for the exposure of the scene. There are two different possibilities: the so-called exposure mode, the ISO, and shutter speed. Color management is also affected by these two modes. We'll also speak about it later. The next group of icons are about returning to the initial camera position, enlarging a part of the preview, the pan tool, positioning the camera perpendicular to a selected surface, manual save of the camera settings, and finally, the scene information can be accessed here in a dialog that contains the number of triangles of the scene, or in the second tab we find the size of the scene and tools to position the origin in case of a newly created object. These are the main tools for the preview window, and with this we almost finished reviewing the interface of Artlantis. When setting scenes, we add shaders or objects to the original geometry. These are the so-called media, the Artlantis library parts, and they can be found in the Artlantis catalog. The catalog is at the bottom of the screen, and it can be opened on the fly or docked by clicking on one of the buttons at its end. It works the same way like the drawers do. The catalog has different parts. One is for shaders or materials. The next central part stores objects. Then come the categories for images, and at the end there are the categories for selections and user media. Still here, completely at the right side, is an icon to open this catalog in a separate window. It can be very useful whenever we wish to have a more detailed view of all categories and subcategories of the catalog. This window can also be moved to another screen in case you work on two screens. And with this, we've completed our review of the Artlantis 6 interface.